Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty again. And I don't remember if anybody remembers from back in the first of the year, get situated here. We did the 31 days of gratitude. I think it was in January, March, one of the earlier months of the year. And in August, I decided to do it again. So we're going to, if you haven't already watched one that I did in Johnstown, earlier this year. We're going to do a similar format where I read each day's gratitude and I explain it a little bit. So there are 31 days, so we 31 different prompts. Every morning I would get up and I would write down something that I was thankful or grateful for. So we'll start with number one, my home. And I guess I was feeling kind of down in the dumps that day about my living situation, and sometimes I do. But in reality, it's the best thing that happened for me. It was the answer to my prayers when it was the worst situation in my life that could have happened. And it probably was never meant to happen, but it did. It was through answering a blind ad in a newspaper for a different property that I was not eligible for. But the manager that is no longer here had put myself in mind to be at this property where I'm at now. And 2 weeks later, I was moved in. So um, it's truly something that I think I'm grateful for more than I think I know. But in essence, it is something really to be grateful for because you go through town, you see all the homeless people. Um, you can't judge a book by its cover. You don't know its situation, but for me to be here and in the time frame when it was a national pandemic and just so much going on, and when I was at my worst state and my mental health, it was what came through me that saved me. So let's go through number two, day number two, my employer and their new building. So I don't know if I've really elaborated on this much. My employer, I've been employed for 14 years, 14 and a half years. We do surveys. I do surveys part-time. And or we just moved into a building that is our own. And that's a big step, but it was a miss, I've just got used to it. It's been almost a year. Hasn't been quite a year for me, but because I was in a relapse last year for this time. So it took some time for me to go back, but it was really the best thing. I think for me, I don't think some buildings were good, some buildings were bad, but the way, that I just like this new building, it's fresh, it's modern, and it kind of has its own vibe to it. Works different, but also my employer has I've not always been the best, and I'm always given chances when sometimes it's grateful that the employer took a chance on me. It's not always possible. It's hard to work, but I'm grateful for that too. Hey, number three, my mom. What could I say about my mom? I could say a million things about my mom, but she is my rock. And my father's down the list here too, but my mom does anything I need. She's willing to help. Not always the best to her. I sometimes take out my anger, my feelings, my verbal anger on her. And I know it's not right, but it's just how my brain is taught to react to things and feel comfortable as her being my verbal punching bag. And I know it's not appropriate. And I really pray about that being better. Um, but she does everything for me, and I help her, and she helps me. So I think having we've had the best relationship I would think we've had in the past year. So and with everything going on right now, I feel that she she needs me the most right now, and I do anything she needs. I've went and sat in a hospital all night with her. I mean, you name it. And she does things that I need because It's a mother-son bond. We co-regulate. It's part of what we do. Number 4, the location of my apartment. So when I was looking again in 2020, after having to leave my first apartment, I didn't want to leave my hometown. It's a city of 7,000, and I just didn't want to leave. I could have went to the county seat. I didn't want to. There's a lot of crime, a lot of issues that I wouldn't been happy there, and I know I wouldn't have. But at that time, I was desperate for anything because the dynamic that I was experiencing with my family at the time was not the best. And we're talking COVID, we're talking lockdowns, we're talking work from home at times. Things had slowly opened back up as far as programs work, but I had to go somewhere, and as I said in day number 1, this location was available, and it's in walking distance to a lot of things, not everything, but it is. If I want to go get a bite to eat, or I want to go to the dollar store, I can. If I want to, I can go work out. There's things I can do. I wish I would have more motivation to do them, but just having the location, and even though we've dealt with some bridge closures the last few years, the neighborhood bridge was closed 2 years ago, and I was able to walk across a pedestrian bridge they created for us, which I am extremely grateful for that year wasn't too stressful. And this year we're dealing with one of the river bridges being out, and being on this side of the bridge, on this side of the highway, has really helped with things being more regulated and not having to worry to go around in streets and just all kind of mess. So that is one thing I'm grateful for. Day number 5. Day number 5. My support system, followers, and friends. It's hard to believe that, just in my support system, there are wonderful people, and they're always ready to answer a question. And I've listened to more of what they said probably this year than any year, but in taking real of what I do and the things that I do, and listening to people and taking their advice seriously and not passing it off. As far as my followers and my friends, I don't, it's not always about the numbers with me on my channels. It never was. I don't want to make money off of this. It's my life story. I will when I write my book, possibly, but as far as telling my story on channels and platforms that are free, that's totally free, and I'm not gonna try to monetize myself, because I don't have the time, and I would want to be anybody else who was in my shoes 25 years ago when there was nothing. And honestly, Facebook, YouTube, those things weren't invented yet, not even Twitter. So, and having that place and having those followers and those friends, even on my personal Facebook, that I've learned to be used to, in my social medias, that has helped me a lot with my mental health. Not only just because I don't care about the numbers, I don't care about the number of friends, I don't care about the number of followers, but having that support is crucial, and knowing that I'm doing the right thing no matter what. Okay, we're on day number 6. Ease and access of having the medication that I need. So I was writing this because, you know, we don't know how fortunate, taking multiple medications like I do. And I've been pretty steady for a couple months now. So having them in independently vacuum sealed pouches, as I do, has been a lifesaver, because you're not fumbling with bottles in the middle of the night. You're not fumbling with bottles in the morning as you're in a hurry or if you have to go somewhere. And my pharmacy has an independent living program. So every month when I go pick up my medication, every dose of every medication is appropriately put. The dosing at the time is put in a little vacuum pack. And, that helps because I just take the medicine as it is. And even though, my dosing is pretty easy, it just makes things a whole lot easier. And my father has done it as well when he was living at home. And you know, it helps so much. Even when I had my relapse, we did not realize how grateful it was when we had to get enough to supply us. That thankfully the pharmacy has pulled together when I was really not myself and got me what I need to get me back on track. And realizing that, you know, having that them in them pouches and then having to do it in things. We were just so confused when it happened last year. So having that service is a godsend, really, and I am extremely grateful for it. We're number 7 here. The ability to take care of myself. And that's a big one because, you know, I never thought it. I mean, I, I mean, I guess I'm just naive. I always thought I'd live with my family, and that was just how it's going to be. And you know, you have dreams, you have thoughts, you know, as you age out of the school system. But there was part of me that really was really down and out for a very long time, and I didn't think, hey, I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't take a shower, and it was torture sometimes when I was living with my family to even take a shower. It wasn't so much that I knew I had to take a shower. It was doing things that were kind of requested, and I guess were kind of expectations that my parents had. And it wasn't that they had high expectations. They expected that I would at least clean up after myself in the bathroom and in the bedroom. And that didn't always happen. And I didn't do things like do laundry all the time because, you know, you're living in your parents' house. And sometimes it wasn't to the point I was feeling entitled. It was just I felt it was a chore. And, you know, it's, you know, and now it's not as bad as it was, but I do take care of I'm better at I do laundry every week now. And I do shower sometimes twice a day. And we'll get into that in another gratitude that I had. But I shower and, you know, there's things that I do and, you know, there's things you have to if you want to go to work, if you live independently, you have to take care of yourself. You have to take your medication, you have to cook a meal. If you want to eat out, that's your thing, but it gets pretty expensive. And for me, with my finance goals, I can't do that all the time. So you know what, you have to learn how to cook, and I've done more of that here in this current apartment in the past 4 years with the COVID lockdowns and just not being able to go everywhere all the time. You know, I'm cooking all the time now, you know, more than I've ever have in any living situation. But, and then, you know, just things like you have to do, like make appointments, transportation arrangements, and just, you know, getting those showers, you know, everything, making sure the clothing is laundered, making sure everything is taken care of, cleaning the house, all of that. You know, that's a big step. And, you know, I talked to my therapist for 5 years before even thinking about living on the own. So it was definitely an involvement. And if you have not followed me, you know, I'm almost 40. So, you know, it's a big thing. Okay, we are on day number 8. Day number 8. The freedom of I can't figure out this word. Sorry, I'm not a good writer. The freedom of space for myself for as a is just oh my God, I can't read. The freedom of speech to speak up for myself and to be an advocate of what I need. So, you know, it's been a progress with speaking, and I'm being able to speak up more and understand that I don't always get what I want, and that I'm not a spoiled little, I can't be a spoiled little brat, and that, you know, sometimes we don't get what we want, but if our basic human needs are met and we are safe, that is okay. And, you know, learning how to speak up properly, and, you know, I think medication helps with that, but it's just, you know, learning to speak, like, you know, not having to just, if you need something, ask for it, you know. I think that's the hard thing. Sometimes it's been hard, like it's, you know, it's not always easy for me to speak up. I think there's a lot of anxiety that comes into play, and just having to say something is hard. But I've done much better with that. Okay, number 9. Secure having the opportunity to go to work in a day program. I don't realize that all the time, but I realized it that day for some reason. So, we talk about in autism world, the cliff, as we will, when you age out of school and you really, you have to look at all these things you're doing, especially if somebody who's autistic can't care for themselves or needs to care for their mental health. And again, programming work that if you're living with family, that may be a choice, that may not be a choice. But for me, I can't do 7 days a week in a house all the time. I would just go stir crazy. I would go unwell. And even having like the weekend now, it's okay, but it's I'll be ready to go back to work on Tuesday. But ultimately, having that opportunity to be linked up to the day service, which I've been in since adulthood, since I aged out of high school, and you know, my therapist knew about the program. Somebody came in and talked about it. Referral was put in. I was there a month after high school. I left for like a year to go to trade school. I came back because I was stir crazy for a few months. Um, you know, my parents always wanted me to go back because things weren't going to work just living with my parents all the time, and day to day, it was too much. So, and then work eventually evolved out of that. And it wasn't, like I was telling my mother today, it wasn't always about the money, but now with the cost of living, with things the way they are, and it is good to get earnings or paycheck, but it's part of what it is. And I do enjoy work now. Always enjoyed work, but I think I've just made the best of it now. And I have to get out of the house. That's the thing. I can't go to day services all the time. That would be too irritating. So it's not that day services are bad, just having it extreme 5 days a week. I've seen it in others. I've seen how it can turn them to be miserable. And I don't want that for me. I've just started back 2 days last week, and that was okay. It's been a long week, but I had to rest yesterday, but I did okay. Um, but I am grateful for those opportunities. Not everybody gets those opportunities, and I do not want to be a couch potato, and I don't want to be in a group home, and that could have very well happened. Um, I do have a dual diagnosis of ID, intellectual disability, and under mental health challenges, but I wouldn't do well in an intellectual disability program, nor would I do good in some of the mental health programs. So having that model that works for me, and having that in my county, and having them being able to find the job that I do well in, that's definitely a grateful reason. The 10th. Oh, the 10th. My therapist and the skills she has taught me. Well, I've only had two therapists in my life, to be quite frank with you. If you count just steady therapist and not your, there were some other therapists, there were some other professionals, but when we're talking licensed social workers, there's really two that were really the therapy, master's level therapy. And, you know, very, they knew how to read me like a book. They knew how to know when I was not being myself, when I was lying. They could see through the lies. And they taught me a lot of skills growing up. And my current therapist I've had for over 20 years now. And those skills are, I think, in therapy, when I became an adult, for a very long time I didn't listen. I chose what I wanted to work on, and I didn't do what I was told to work on. So that was kind of a conflict. But eventually, I understood, if I wanted to not experience problems or experience the same old, and that I wanted to progress more in life, I would have to do things. You know, it is, somebody was quoted as saying, it's more of what you do outside of therapy than what you do in that hour every week, or every hour, every other week. But in it has, you have to listen, you have to do the homework, and you have to be honest. Because if you're not honest, it's not good. You're not going to get nothing out of it if you're not honest about yourself. Number 11, having my blog and website. Let me tell you what, that baby's a lifesaver. I write all the time. That's my nice little way of putting things out. And it's definitely nice. I like to write. I think writing is a better format of communication for me. Although I've done over 300 of these videos, and I'm fine when I'm not with multiple people and I can take my time and not be in a rush with this. But my website is more than just the daily blog posts that I write, which I do write them in advance, and I do schedule them out because I work and stuff. But just having those resources, and I went to school for that. And it's funny because today, in my personal Facebook memories, 9 years ago, I graduated. I officially graduated with my web applications and web technology degrees. So I put them skills into WordPress. And even though I pay for the WordPress, I feel it's important because there are so many generations of autistic people under me that are not educated and don't want to spend money. And autism, it affects everybody, um everybody, just any spectrum of the world. And there are people who just can't shell an extra $10 for a book, or a 20, for things. So just having every resource that I think is appropriate to share, as I learned about my autism, even as I'm learning even more, because so much has evolved in 25 years of 26 years of being diagnosed, that I think it's important to always share what you can. So let's move on to the next one. The 12th, my TOPS family. TOPS is short for Take Off Pound Sensibly. We meet every Monday night. We will not be meeting this Monday because of the holiday. But what it is it's a weight loss group. And I've been going for 17, 18 years now. And I joined at the weirdest time. It was right before Thanksgiving. Not the idealist time, but my weight I've always been creeping up, but I knew I had to take care of it. And we ironically went to church in the same place. We go to church in the same place where the meetings are. And it was in the bulletin. I said, let's go. And pretty amazing people. They're like my family, they're like my second or third family. And I'm a great asset to them. And that's not just me blowing my own horn here, but it's just I do so much and I love it. It's not always about losing weight, it's about support. And when you're eating, not eating, just having that support and that camaraderie, having having those people there and telling, the stories, and just, knowing that you're not alone in a battle that you face with the scale every day. So they've been there for me at my best and my worst, and I'm truly grateful for them. 13th, being saved and born again and knowing Jesus Christ. So I've been wanting to tell my story about being saved because it's kind of ironic. And I think, I can ironically remember when we had in my street, my family all lived on my street at the time, and we had a Bible club. We had missionaries or fellowship people come, and we had a Bible club for children on the street, on a porch, one of the houses. And I wasn't thinking, I felt like I had to be saved. And I remember me and the person going to the end of the sidewalk, and they had a little thing with John 3:16, which, if you know, it's for God so loved the world. And that was in a pre-head prayer, and I was saved. And I would say, even so, just I know I was saved back then, but over the course of the pandemic and services and having questions about things in life, um, I had for some time had been away from my religion, even though I had um, taken membership vows over 20 years, nearly 20 years ago, and been off and on with the church stuff, but more so over the past year and a half, a year and a half, I'd say, that I've been more invested in church and going to church and reading the books and reading Bible and praying every day because there's just so much, I think the world's just showing us that I need to do that. And everybody can have their own stance on it. But knowing that I found Jesus Christ again and just understanding the need to have that in my life has been crucial. 14, accommodations at places. And this has been something I don't, I want to say I'm learning to accept and understanding it's a necessity sometimes. Um, you know, I have a hard time speaking up, like I said earlier, but if there's an accommodation and I feel that I don't always feel that I need it, but there's times I do use it. But being able to have an accommodation is a great thing if it's granted. And then sometimes there's a lot of red tape and there's a lot of hoops to jump when it comes to that. But having accommodations for my needs is always something I'm grateful for. The 15th, we're halfway there, folks. Uh, People who I can share my concerns with. And this, I think it may have been, it may not have been. So I'm not sure what was this day, but I've had some feelings in the past 9 months, I would say, that or 8 or 9, or I can't exactly remember, where this whole transportation situation, we went from program vans to paratransit shared ride. And of course, I've been doing that for 20 years, so it's a big change. And there was a lot of, you know, backstories, negativity about it. And I for a very long time, I was stuck in these old ways of believing can't change this up because it's not gonna work, and it's me believing I can still boss people around and tell them what I think I can do, and having feelings about that are not good and not healthy. And so I think I got myself the courage to talk about it with those who had to make the change, even after knowing that it was the best thing that happened to me and others and just everybody across the board. And being able to talk about those things and get that off of my chest after holding that for a very, very long, not just the change, but everything before the change, the way I acted, the meltdowns I had, all of that. And just being able to get that out. And, on that ride home on the bus that evening, I wept for some time in silence. But, I think just having people that I know I can trust to talk to things. And this, even that I had to talk these things out, this was people that I would talk about even more private things with, but couldn't somehow discuss this. So, it's kind of double-edged sword there. But I think, it is what it is. 16, my new supervisor. So I had the same supervisor at work for 14 years, and she was there for 23, and she retired this year. And I was okay with it, I guess. And I got a new supervisor, and I'm sort of showing her grips, and and I'm learning how to work, in a different environment, and it's different, but I'm learning with it, and it's working out and it's going quite well. So I'm really grateful for that because it could have went a whole different way, and I'm still getting my accommodations met. I'm still being able to do my flexibility when I need it. There's so much, it's pretty much the same, just a different person. And there's some progress, there's some different things, and I have to, change is hard, but sometimes change is good too. So, it works out. 17, those who have taken a chance on me when I needed it. And that's about the same token because it's both in that, both in day services and anything. When I was not myself, when I've had meltdown after meltdown after meltdown, people who continue to take chances on me, because in that mindset, I was not right. I was not appropriate. I was not myself. And, you know, sometimes now, even more, as a lot of the reason and the behind some of those meltdowns have gone away. Um, I realize I need to be the example now. I need to be the role model that people look to see me as. Um, you know, but I'm grateful that for those chances to have all the opportunities that I've had, that I should have not have had, and things could have went a lot worse. Same with the job, I've not had some great moments, and there could have been reasons, that I couldn't have been productive. I could have been, had to like be let go or anything. But having that great gratitude of people taking a chance on me, and seeing that I can show my talents, be my best, be an asset. That's a big 18. The ability to to not give up. And let me tell you, sometimes it's hard. It's not easy. But I don't. And even though my mother would say I complain every day about something when I'm with her, about my job, about the day service, I don't stop going. I don't. It's just not an option. I have to push through. I know it keeps me well. I know everything I do is for a reason. And that if you follow my Facebook page and you see the content I share from other content creators, you'll see that I'm on an emphasis, you don't give up, because if you give up, it's not good. Um, okay. 19, is it 19? Yes, it's 19. Having a weekly paycheck. And not everybody gets paid weekly, but I do, and I'm gonna tell you what, I like it. I don't know if I could ever live in an environment. I have done a 2 week thing, and that's hard when you have things you need. And it's easier to budget money when you have a weekly paycheck, and it's around the same amount, so it's like within 2 or 3 cents. So it's not like big deal, but it's important, and then I know how much money I have to spend every week. But having that weekly paycheck is a big thing. 20, being on my sister's Spotify. So Spotify I love it. I knew I had it for a long. I don't know if knew I had it for a long time, but my sister did add me on to their family account, and it's definitely a miracle. Playlists are nice. Jumping from things is nice. Having the DJ is nice. There's so many benefits to it than paying for a plan. Number 21, the ability to wake up on my own each morning. And this was something that I had doubts about with my medication when I was relapsing, but I'm up oftentimes before the alarm goes off. So, I'm truly grateful that I can get up on my own without issues, be ready, get on the bus, do what I need to do. I believe this is 22. The ability to take a shower as often as I want and not worry about things like the water or sewer bill. And I don't know if I was probably down at the community pantry putting food in the box, and there was a sign there for a shower at the food pantry. And we don't take things like that for granted always. The ability to have a hot shower, clean shower, place where we have privacy to do it. That we can take maybe 2 showers a day, because there are people who don't get the shower but once a week, or once every other day. So, or every 3 days. you know it's about being grateful for that I can just walk across the hall from the bedroom into the shower, take a shower whenever I want. That's a big for me, and I think not having to worry about being judged about it, just being able to be clean. 23, my dad's birthday was on that day. He was 77. He's doing better. He's in a veterans home right now, so he's getting rehab. And he's a trooper, and he doesn't think he's improved, but he's improved so much. And being able to have the day off to go down there and celebrate with him and my family was really big, because I think you need that cheer. You need to be that cheerleader. You need to be that person that cheers him on and does what is needed to be done. And he has done so much for me, even though I never always believed that, or that he always had some sort of good intention, or tried to do things to make me happy in his different ways. And that was big for me to realize that lately. So it's important um to remember that. Okay, we're getting through here, people. 24, expressing myself. So it's different now. So finding my place in the world, that's been a big thing, and just being able to feel free to do that. I don't feel it certain ways, over in others, but I don't like to overexpress, but I don't like to underexpress. And there's places and parts where you can do that. Um, but ultimately, just feeling comfortable with my identity and where we are in life. Having my space, 25. It's important to have space where you can go and be safe and be calm. And this place is it. 26, getting out the door. Getting out the door each morning is hard, but I do it. And there's times I don't want to, but you have to pay the bills. And it's hard. I want to quit every day. Seems like when I talk about it, but I know in honesty I don't. And my anxiety often tells me that I do. But I push through and I get out the door. 27, my team at work. So our team has changed, expanded over the last few months, and it's different, but learning to adapt, learning to work with everyone and learn what our talents are. And I realized that I am a great asset and I am seasoned, and that's not just telling my whole thing, but I've been told that, and it can be hard to give myself a pat on the back, but knowing that I can do the work that I can do and be skilled in it, that's just truly something grateful. 28, being able to sleep with the help of medicine. Let me tell you how sleep is important. And being able to sleep is good, and medicine is good. I've been the battle with that for a very long time, and just knowing that's helpful. 29, fighting through the relapses and knowing meds are the right thing. And that has taken me a long time to remember, to realize, in 6 years, but I finally got it, and I'm doing so much better because of it. I have a different mindset on it. It's very important to me. Um, we'll deal with the side effects when they come, but really, a lot of things I do that I was doing when I wasn't taking them, I can do when I'm taking them. So I think we didn't really understand how things work, and finally we have. So that's truly a blessing. 30, transportation to and from work with no issues. And I think I talked a little about this earlier, how the change was hard, but in those 9 months, I've not had one issue, not been left anywhere, not been, it's definitely grateful for that. It could have been a lot worse, but things happen, and sometimes they happen for a reason. Sometimes they're good. Now, transportation is not perfect. It's not a demand response. It's shared ride response. So, you have to expect things that are not going to go your way. And I'm starting to learn that and starting to accept that for what it is. So, it takes time to understand, and I'm being more patient with myself and understanding that I need to be a person who is truly who I am and truly the person that um I can be, I can mature and be. Last 131, having weekends off. We don't realize sometimes, so I don't always focus on that, but today I was thinking, I'm not working retail, I'm not working, just customer service, anything like that. So we don't realize how grateful we need to be sometimes to have the weekends off because not everybody gets weekends off, and those who have to work the weekend struggle, and you see it in the world today because people don't want to show up and do things. So, you know, thank you, weekend warriors, and I'm truly blessed for myself to be off. So that was the wrap. That's a wrap. That's 31 days of gratitude for the month of August 2024. I'm hoping to continue it in September. And hey, I'll have a nice holiday weekend. We'll talk at you soon. Bye for now.